Okay, before you can begin, you must have the packet called Sixth Planets Research copied into your OneNote notebook. And for this project, we are using a new notebook called Science Research Paper. In class today, we copied this packet into our notebook. If you were absent, I went ahead and did that for you so that everyone would be in the same place. Once you get here, this is what your Pathfinder looks like, and it basically lists sources and resources that you can use to help you with your paper. The first one we're going to look at is one of the databases called Britannica School, and I'm going to click on it, and it will take you here to the Britannica School, specifically for middle schoolers. Now up here you'll see the search bar, and you type in your topic, whatever your research topic might be. Type it in right there. I'm going to use Pluto, because we know that it is not a planet, it is a dwarf planet. I'm going to go with planet Pluto. And just for the sake of our demonstration, I'm going to use the first article here. Now, this will give you an article. You'll have to read through the article and decide if this article is useful and helpful to you. Does it answer any of the questions that you are supposed to address in your paper, or does it give you more information that you might want to use? Remember, you have to answer all of the questions that you were asked to answer, but you're not necessarily limited to just those. We want our papers to all be different and interesting and have some personal feel to them. So you might find other information that you want to include. All right, so if you read this article and you decide that it is indeed an article that you want to use, you want to copy this into your OneNote notebook. So we're going to use the printer icon. We're not actually going to print it out on paper, but this is just the way it's done. So click the printer icon. This will give you a preview screen over here, and then it'll give you a little print dialog. You're going to click change because we don't want to print this to the Lexmark printer. You're going to click change and it will give you a list. When you look at your list, you will find among your printers one that says send to OneNote 2013. So click that. It will change it here in your destination spot to send to OneNote. Then click print. It may take it a minute, but your OneNote icon will begin to flash, probably at the bottom of your screen. When that happens, if you'll click on it, it will open up this box right here. And you will need to decide where to put it. Now, I'm scrolling through mine. So, I'm going to use, for my example, the Science Research Paper second period. And you're going to actually, when you go to yours, you're going to click on your name. I am going to use Allison's here as an example. I'm going to click here, and do you see how it drops down? It says Sources and Notes, Drafts, and 6th Grade Planet Research. This goes in Sources and Notes. So click there on Sources and Notes and click OK. And it'll take it a minute. But then it will open up here in your Sources and Notes page. It has Pluto, it has your article, everything. Now, if you'll notice, if you scroll up to the top, the name of it is Printout. Well, we don't want to call everything we put in here Printout. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to call it Source 1. Okay? And then I'll change it. It'll be called Source 1. But one of the things we've talked about that's really important when you are collecting your information for research is that you give credit, you use citations, that you cite your source. So We're going to go back to the article. This is the original article in Britannica. And it has a little box right here. When I hover over that, see it lights up. That is how I cite my source. So when I click that, it drops down this menu. This is giving me all the information that I need. Now, remember, we're using MLA, but I want to highlight this. And I'm going to copy. Now I'm going to go back here, and up here in all of this white space, I'm just going to click anywhere. Then I'm going to paste that right there. Now, this gives me my source information. This is what is going to go on your colorful source card. But the one thing we don't need is the URL or the web address, so we're going to delete that right there. Now, from here, you can do all kinds of things. You can switch over to draw. Now, once you have your article in OneNote, you can start taking notes. Now, as you're reading, it's often a good idea to highlight. A lot of people like to highlight and things. Some people like to make lists, but we're going to talk about highlighting. Give me 1 second. Can't make it draw. You can actually use your stylus if you're doing this here at school and highlight the things that you think are important. So as you're reading, its discovery in 1930, you can highlight the parts that you think are important so that you can go back later and put those on your white note cards, which we'll talk about in a different lesson. Okay, so that's how you save a Britannica article to OneNote, and how you find your source information, and how you take notes on it. So let's go back to our Pathfinder. Right here. We're in our Pathfinder, and we have another database called Gale, Kids Info Bits. Everything here works much the same way. We're going to open it. Give it just a minute. Here you're going to search your planet. Now, the part of Kids Info Bits that you want to focus on are the books. This is information taken from books, but it's not reading the entire book. So for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to just click on the first one. Here I have have some information about Pluto. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to print. It's already set, saved to OneNote, so I'm going to click that one. My OneNote icon is flashing, so I clicked it. Now I'm going back here. I'm going to go back to Sources and Notes, and I'm going to click OK. So now I'm going to call this one Source 2. Okay. But now I have to go back and do the same thing for my citation information. So I go back to the article. This time I'm going to click Citation Tools. Make sure it's in MLA. I'm going to highlight the information. I don't need the URL. It tends to automatically put the URL there, but we're going to delete it later. So right click, copy. I'm going to go back to OneNote, click up here, click paste, delete that very long URL. And again, I'm ready to read my article, and take notes. Now, one thing to remember is before you move an article into OneNote, kind of skim it and see if it really has the information you need. It may not. All right, the last one I want to show you is Explora Primary. I'm going to open that one. Now, here you have to be a little more specific than you do with the other databases. So when you enter your planet, put planet and then the name of your planet. So I'm going to put planet Pluto. I'm going to hit enter, and I have my sources here. So I can click on one. I can do the same thing here. Now, when you print from here, one thing I do want to point out to you, when you click print, you're going to get a screen that looks like this. If you click print again, then you'll get the familiar format that you're used to. I'm not going to actually print this one because you should have the idea by now. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is how to do your research at home. Now, most of you will not have to do research at home. If you're absent or you get behind for some reason, you may have to do some of this at home, but we're going to try to do it all in the classroom. But this is just in case. If you're at home and you log in to your OneNote and you click on Britannica School, Kids Info Bits, or Explora Primary, it's going to ask you for a password. Your first thought is going to be, but I don't have a password. But I'm going to show you where to find those passwords. You look over here on your table of contents. You have this page called Remote Access. When you click on this page, it takes you to a list of passwords for all of our databases. Now, the only ones that you will use are the ones from your Pathfinder page. So here we have Encyclopedia Britannica Online. Here we have username, GWA, password, student. The Gale databases, which this includes Kids Info Bits, you will use username MONR27762 with the password GWARPA. Then EBSCOhost is for Explora, and again you use GWA and student. So don't forget, if you are at home trying to do research, you must log in to OneNote and go to your notebook and then use these passwords to access your resources. All right, and I think that covers just about everything that you need to know as far as the basics go. Any other questions, you can contact me or we'll talk about them in class.